Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here, keynote speaker, Mr. Sharad Malhotra, President, Automotive Refinishes and Wood, Nippon Paint, India. Sir, we are glad to have you. He has completed his graduation from the Delhi University. After that, he pursued masters in international business. He heads Nippon Paint's global automotive aftermarket paint business and is the director on board of several Nippon Paint companies in Asia. He is the founder of the company's automotive refinish business in India, Indonesia, Australia, and the Middle East, and the wood coatings and light industrial paints business in India. Prior to working with Nippon, he worked with Asco Noble Car Refinishes for 6 years. He's actively working towards the upliftment of the unorganized painters community through various initiatives. Here, I'm happy to give you Mr. Sharad Malhotra. Sir.
Thank you so much. That was quite an introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy to be here. I'm sorry I could not join this morning. Murli sir, I'm sorry I missed you that day in Chennai as well. So I've been a little bit under the weather. I've just managed to come because I could not say no to my friend Anuj. I had no choice but to come, even though I was not very well. I'm not here to actually speak about Nippon Paint. So I think it's a little bit of a relief for people because I think in this August gathering, I would love to just share a little bit about my experiences as a partner or as a supplier or as a vendor to the automotive industry for the last 27, 28 years. So I think that's what is going to be the focus of my talk, which is hopefully not going to be for too long. I don't want to be between you and lunch. So I would start by saying that I don't think in the post-COVID world, it's about the product anymore. Probably it was never about the product even before COVID. But after COVID particularly, I believe that the requirements of being a supplier or a vendor or a partner to the automotive industry have changed completely. And today when we are a partner to so many OEMs in India, outside India, what we are trying to do, we're trying to see how do we bring value. So, the standard vendor-customer relationship is essentially based on 2 or 3 parameters, as we all know. It's based on price, quality, and delivery, right? I think that's what everybody believes is the most important deliverable a vendor can bring or a partner can bring as a supplier to the automotive industry or to any industry. But today, I think almost every product, every great product has become more or less a commodity. Do we agree with that? I think it's more about how do we create value, not just by providing a great product, but by actually creating some differentiation through the value proposition that we have. So today when we look at B2B customer decisions, I don't think they're very cut and dried anymore. Yes, I think as a B2B supplier, we need to optimize prices, we need to meet specifications, we need to make sure that we meet the basics of what the customer needs. But today, I think as a B2B offering, and I'm a B2B supplier, so bear with me, as B2B offerings become more and more commoditized, today what somewhat personalized and somewhat value-driven propositions that you can bring to the customer, that becomes more important. It could be even about how the product can enhance a buyer's reputation or even reduce his anxiety. You know, I think that's where today, as a smart post-COVID, post-pandemic supplier or a partner, you can add value to your customers' requirements. So it's recognizing the full value of both the rational and the emotional factors which are behind the purchase decisions taken, whether in the aftermarket or in the paint or in the automotive factory, which become very important. And how you tailor that value proposition is so critical if you want to avoid what I call the commodity gap. Sorry, the commodity trap. Because ultimately, if you just stick to price or quality, then you are getting stuck in what we call is a vicious cycle of being in a commodity trap. And when you're in a commodity trap, the only way you can differentiate yourself is by reducing a lower price. So, while this may not be music to the automotive OEM's ears, but the reality is, today as a supplier, we have to become far smarter. We have to identify what are the elements of value that we can bring to a customer. So I define these values in 5 categories. What the first level, and this is frankly speaking not my own creation, this is something that is inspired from a gentleman called Abraham Maslow. Maslow, I think a lot of people who've done marketing know of Maslow's principles. He first described it in 1943, and he said that human actions are motivated by an innate desire to fulfill needs, starting from the very basic needs to the more complex needs. And the value proposition that I'm talking about is also based on how people in corporate roles and their motivations for buying and using products and services are determined by these different levels of needs. So from that perspective, what we do is, or what I have tried to do, it's based on my, like I said, 27, 28 years of serving the automobile industry, is define these into 5 categories. The first category is what I call the vanilla needs. What are the vanilla needs of a customer in the aftermarket or in any industry? The vanilla needs are to meet the customer specifications at an acceptable price. And that's very, very basic today in today's world. I mean, I strongly believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but even today, most B2B suppliers still only focus on what I call the vanilla needs. And that's where you can go wrong. And that's where you get into the trap of the commodity trap, as we spoke about. However, that's just the beginning. And that's something which today is almost a given that you need to provide to your customers. After that, what do you have? After that, you have your economic or your product performance needs, such as cost reduction or scalability or any kind of product performance that you can enhance for the customer. The third level of needs are what I call the ease of doing business. And people who are working with me in Nippon, I speak, I think, a lot of times about how do you make it easier for your customer to do work with you. This ease of doing business is what determines, is probably the most important element or the most important level that we need to aspire for. How do you make it easier? I'm sure there's been a lot of talk today. There have been such distinguished speakers. People on the panel have been amazing. My ex-boss, Mr. Narula, is also here. And so many such amazing people are here in this room. So I dare not open my mouth about what really defines great after sales. But I think there are so many things that we can do to make it easier for the customer to do business with you. Just giving an example, I think a lot of discussion may have happened about productivity. So productivity is something very, very apparent that is everybody's requirement. So as a paint supplier, how do you increase productivity in the aftermarket? Is a very standard question we get. So today we are actually able to do some amazing stuff around, creating a repair process, for example, where we can finish a paint job on a car, maybe a panel like a door, a fender, a side, 3 to 4 panels in 100 minutes. Now that is quite unheard of, and I'm not talking about minor scratches, I'm talking about reasonable paint work. So that is how you actually provide the customer the value of ease of doing business, because your product makes it easier for him to handle his own customer. So if you can add value which increases the productivity of the customer or improves its operational performance, then that is something which adds value. I was with an OEM in Dubai last month, and their need is, you'll be very surprised, but in Dubai, the after-sale standards are pretty lousy. If you just forget about the Al-Futtems of the world, which are very strong and very efficient, but you go to one level down, there is nothing. And I've been telling Murli sir that the next market to go into very strongly is the Middle East, and I think that's really, really important because we see that there's a lot of opportunity. There's hardly anybody providing good service there. So nonetheless, the point I'm trying to make is the OEM's problem is they have cars. Post-COVID, there's a lot of cars coming into their workshops, but the workshops are so badly organized that they don't know how to get the output out from there. So that's where we have actually gotten an expert from our team who's redesigning the whole layout for their body shop so that can ease out the operational bottlenecks which are today affecting the whole productivity of that body shop. So again, simple things, nothing out of the world, nothing extremely fancy or amazing that I'm talking about here, but these are just basics. How do you make your customer's life easier? Why is it easier for him to do work with you? I think that's what makes a lot of difference. Now, that's not it. That's only the third level. The next level, I think you have a lot of other value additions that you can provide, which address the individual buyer's priorities, whether they are personal. A lot of times buyers have their own personal anxieties. कि नहीं भैया मैं आपका पेंट अप्रूव नहीं करूँगा because मुझे रोज़ सुनना नहीं है, मेरे को रात को नींद अच्छी आनी चाहिए, those kind of things. So how do you reduce the anxiety of the buyer? Or how do you enhance the appeal or the design or the aesthetics of your product? So that is the next level where you can create that, what I call subjective value, which can enhance your value proposition to the customer. So here you are addressing what I call highly emotional concerns. A fear of failure often nags at buyers who spend a large amount of money and make decisions that affect the company's revenue and profitability. So if you can make his life easier, or her life easier, then you can actually make a lot of difference to what you bring to the table as a vendor. And then at the top of the pyramid are what I call the inspirational values. Today there are customers who need to feel inspired. I'm telling you, there are customers who need to feel inspired. And I'm sure you've all experienced those customers, and that's what I'm also telling my team across our different business verticals, that you have to see how you can help the customer improve his or her vision of the future by helping them to anticipate changes in the market. Or how do you provide hope for the future of the organization by helping them to navigate to the next generation of technology. So there are these amazing things you can do for customers. Today in the body shop, again, sorry, I'm from the paint industry, so I'll just refer to the body shops again. How many OEMs know in real time how many jobs are being attended to in the body shop? All you would know is the number of job cards which are live. But what is happening in the body shop? What is exactly being done on the car? Who's the painter applying the paint? You wouldn't know because it's outsourced. It's given to a third-party contractor. So you can actually do a lot in terms of digital solutions as well. And digital solutions is not just about tech, it's also about people. But at the end of the day, it's about how you're able to create that value which can enhance the inspirational element which can help your customer to say, yes, I want to work with you. I'll give you another very interesting example. You can also look at how do you enhance a customer's social responsibility. Now, I also run an NGO. It's called Nai Subha Foundation. And at Nai Subha Foundation, we work with autistic people who are actually very good at their jobs, provided you break down the job very effectively, efficiently, and train them really well. Nobody gives them a chance. Nobody gives them a chance. And it's very sad. But what we did and what we are doing successfully is we are creating even production lines customized for these beautiful young adults who are amazing at their work, provided you train them well. And today, for one of the largest OEMs, and I will not name the OEM, we have a product which is being completely filled and packed through this line which is completely run by these neurodiverse young adults. And the best part is the OEM loves it because it also enhances their image. It also enhances their corporate social responsibility. And that makes it an unbeatable situation where no other vendor or no other supplier can enter, because what we are offering here to that OEM is far beyond price, quality, or cost, or delivery. So here, we have these products which are packed, supplied to the OEM. The OEM is supplying to the aftermarket. It's one of our largest businesses. Packing is being done in a third-party location, in a sheltered environment where these neurodiverse kids are working. And we have zero customer complaints, because these boys and girls are far better than what we call the neurotypical people at doing some of the jobs. So this is an amazing example of value creation that we can do to enhance what can really work. So, at the end of the day, traditional boundaries, traditional methods are no longer so successful. I think at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we are able to enhance value for the customers in different, multiple ways. And I really believe that as a vendor, in the current volatile, ambiguous situation, if you don't understand what value you can bring, your value proposition will never be strong, and you will always be depending on price, quality, and delivery. And that, I believe, in a nutshell, is a recipe for disaster. So I have a few principles which I will talk about. I think as a supplier, I believe that we need to be fearless in terms of building new models. Again, I'll talk about building with two large OEMs in India, we've built completely new after-sales models for supplying paint to the aftermarket, and they have clicked. They have clicked really, really well. So if we had followed the conventional model of following the regular way, the conventional way of doing business, probably it would have not worked. But today we are able to build those interesting models where we are able to involve the OEM in the value chain by doing the billing, invoicing through the OEM, but supplying the products directly to the dealerships, which enhances what the OEM wants, which is to be a part, to get a bigger part of the pie, to get a bigger part of the revenue, and at the same time ensure that the products are being delivered efficiently and good quality products are being used in the body shops. Fearlessness is what I have just spoken about. The second thing is ferociousness. Now, the word ferociousness is not normally associated with customer service, but I believe that in today's world, we also have to be ferocious, not at the customer, but for the customer. Because if you are able to understand what the customer needs, you should be ferocious enough to make sure your organization delivers that need. So how are you ferocious enough to do that also determines your success. And the third F, since we're doing these acronyms, is how futuristic you are. Futuristicness is based on many things, whether it's digital integration, whether it is supply chain collaboration, whether it is agility in production or process, whether it is standardization, whether it is in financial partnership with your customers. There are so many different ways in which you can be futuristic with your customer. The idea is find what your customer needs and make sure that you're able to tailor make your model to achieve that, and you build something that is going to be lifelong. Of course, we have to be competitive. There is no doubt about it. If you're not competitive, then all the gyan that I've given is of no use. So competitiveness is, of course, most important. If you're not competitive, and competitive does not mean the cheapest in price. Competitiveness means being the best value provider. If you're the best value provider, then that is a very basic level of need that you're meeting for your customer. After COVID, I also believe that vendors need to be more considerate. Now, consideration is very important because at the end of the day, we're dealing with human beings. All the tech that we have is not going to take away the fact that we're dealing with human beings. And human beings want people to be considerate. You know, I've had many of my own supplier partners, what we call strategic partners, who have been very considerate at times when we were not, able to meet their, for example, payment schedules, or we wanted some special support. So I think today you have to be also very considerate. If you are considerate, people remember that. It's not cut and dry. Of course, we have to be customer-centric. That goes without saying. Customer centricity does not mean, again, price, quality, delivery, but so many other things that I've spoken about enhancing the value proposition. And fourth, we have to be collaborative. And fifth, we have to be consistent. Because ultimately, I'll tell you from my own experience, people hate faceless organizations. People want to deal with human beings. If you as a person are consistent with your customer, there's a face that the customer has when dealing with your company that goes a long way in building a relationship. So this is again all speaking from a vendor perspective, from a supplier or a partner perspective. All these things are my own personal learnings, which I have from my own life experience for the last 25, 30 years. I think at the end of the day, it's about what value you bring, whether in the production line or the aftermarket. And I supplied paint to both the production lines and the aftermarket. And that value that you bring is something that I don't think anybody can teach you in a business school. How do you add value to your customer? It's what you learn. But the more you learn, the more you realize that it's not so simple. It's not just one layer of needs, it's multiple layers of needs. And how you can address that for your customer determines the success your business has in the market. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
He's ready to get off the stage, but I would like to sing a song to that. Abhi na jao chhod kar, felicitation abhi hua nahi. And to do the honors, I would like to call on stage a representative from Intellinet Systems. Can I have? Yes, thank you so much. Are we ready? Thank you so much, Mr. Sharad, for taking the time out, though you were not feeling so good. Dosti badi cheez hai, and you could make it, and we are thankful and we are genuinely grateful that you came. Show more love. A big thank you to both of you yet again.